This man, Young Thug, is free. This man, Young Thug, is free. Is this not the best Halloween that we had in forever? Lil Uzi dropped. Thug is free. The weather is amazing. They took Dirk, gave us Young Thug. It's probably the best trade we done seen since the Rams Lions trade. But let's just get into it. Let's watch this. Yo, this trial been going on for like so long. I forgot when it even started.
Is now pleading guilty to what has become Georgia's longest-running criminal trial. The plea just announced in Fulton County Court just minutes ago. The rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, was indicted.
So what happened to everybody else?
On racketeering charges.
Prosecutors said the rapper
led a street gang that committed murder, armed robbery, carjackings, and also dealt drugs. Nearly 30 other co-defendants were named in this case. Young Thug's trial has been plagued.
You know what's like crazy about this?
Two judges having to recuse
even though they letting him free, if one person come up missing or anything happened to anybody in this case that was in this case involved in any way, if anything happened to them, Thug might get life. They probably playing cat and mouse, trying to see if anything's gonna happen. If it don't, it might be different. But if it do,
that is absolutely correct, and it's amazing that this has been going on for more than 6 months. We have been here following this trial. It is one of the longest trials that Georgia has had. That says a lot about the state of this trial and how many witnesses the state has been calling. So now that we see this plea deal, I'm not very surprised by it because I think both sides were trying to mitigate damages here.
And Shauna, very quickly, I do want to play for you images that just came into us. It is Young Thug taking that plea up in court, and then I'll have you react on the back end. But here is what just played out in court just moments ago.
As to count 60, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, how do you plead? As to count 61, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, how do you plead? And as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, how do you plead? As to count 56, participation in criminal street gang activity under the leadership charge, how do you plead?
I think you didn't ask about count 62.
The way he wearing his locks, this is so off topic. The way he wearing his locks, I'm thinking about him half down, half up. Oh my God. Fire.
Are you pleading guilty to the offenses you have indicated because you are in fact guilty of these charges?
Yes. And Shauna, something that I heard there, tell me if I'm wrong here, is to some charges he's pleading guilty, to some charges he's pleading nolo contendere, which means no contest. But also, very quickly, it looks like we've gotten here because there was an issue at trial last week where there was this witness who divulged sensitive information on the stand, and there were these concerns that there could be a mistrial, and essentially you'd have to start the clock all over again, and you'd have to have this long trial all over again. How did we get here to this point where prosecutors and defense attorneys obviously wanted to deal?
I mean, what we're really seeing is that misstep could potentially have created a mistrial, and the judge looked like she may have been leaning towards granting that. So that leaves exposure on both sides. That means the state has to determine to bring this trial again, and he would have to stand again for another trial. So what you see here in this plea deal is both sides gave a little
Cardi
bit.
About
He
to drop.
pleaded no contest to some of the charges,
Uzi
the direct charges that were linked to him directly, such as the possession charges,
features
he did
and
plead guilty to, and the state gave up the opportunity to get a full conviction. They're getting a lot of probation here in this particular plea deal in order to get those those admissions of guilt. So both sides had to give a little bit, but in the face of a mistrial, when we're talking about the longest running trial in the history of Georgia, was really both sides trying to get what they wanted, their main objective out of this, and they each got a little bit.
2 years without Thug is crazy. Let's start there. 2 years without Thug is crazy, bro. It's probably why music been so dead.
Were there other factors that made the trial drag out to this point?
So those were some of the initial factors. There were a lot of defendants. The state had a lot of witnesses, but we have to remember they had no direct evidence. So a lot of what they were using were lyrics and other things that were being used by the YSL team in order to get this conviction. So in order to build that kind of case, you need a lot of background, and that's what we were seeing by having so many witnesses.
Shauna Lloyd, young thug pleading guilty. That breaking news. Thank you as always.